Hungary continues to be the most difficult part of the journey that the Syrian refugees and Iraqis and Afghan refugees as well are making to Europe. They get blocked here at the border. The police takes them to these holding centers where they live in horrible conditions. They're put in pens like animals. They get very little food. The food gets thrown at them sometimes instead of distributed.
No one will or should argue the forced mass migration of refugees making their way across Europe at the moment, mostly Syrian refugees, is the most heartbreaking human crisis since Hitler was seeking to exterminate Jews, Gypsies, and anyone else who didn't fit his lunatic version of the world. So what happened along the Hungarian border has sparked global outrage, with one government seeking to defend its actions that are seen as heartless and demeaning. Our guest is former Hungarian ambassador to the United States, now managing director at the Center for Transatlantic Relations at Johns Hopkins University. Welcome András Simonyi to the Hardline. András, I want to thank you so much for being here tonight, and I want to point exactly at what that gentleman just talked about a few moments ago. This video that has come out of basically families scrambling over each other to get themselves a piece of bread, a sandwich, anything whatsoever. It does indeed look like animals in a pen. How sick does this make you to see this?
Well, it's terrible, and it makes me sick, and it makes me sick to see my country on the front page of every paper and in every TV station, on every TV station. But I'd also like to add that I don't think the government has been very competent in handling it, but do understand Hungary is really under a great deal of pressure. And by the way, when you see scenes like this, nobody sees the many thousands of Hungarians who have tried to help these refugees on their own, a little disorganized, but I just want to make sure that there is another Hungary out there, and don't jump to conclusions on the whole Hungarian nation.
Okay, then do us a favor then. Tell us about that. We only have a few minutes here, but these are the pictures that the world is seeing right now. And frankly, there are some people saying that, look, Hungary can't afford to have any refugees in there. They don't know where to put them, where to house them, how to feed them, how to clothe them. So that in itself makes what they're doing perhaps not humanistically correct, but for the government, it's what they need to do. So set us straight.
Okay, the Hungarian government needs to do what a government needs to do, protect its borders and keep the order. I do feel that early on the European Union should have stepped in and should have started helping the Hungarian government, and the Hungarian government should have asked for more help. It decided to go it on its own. It couldn't, and now we're stuck with this massive influx of refugees. Also, I think the European Union has been too late in discovering that this is going to end in tragedy. And by the way, nobody is talking about the real reasons why this is happening when we failed to intervene in Syria early on. So therefore, what I want to say, this is a complex problem which needs complex answers, and I think Europe as a whole should come up with a response, a credible response, which solves the situation short term, but also has a vision about how to deal with this long term. Otherwise, I think Europe will be in great trouble, and this is not in the interest of Europe. This is not in the interest of Hungary or the United States.
I've only got about 45 seconds left. We're going to have you back on soon to talk about this. It needs a lot more discussion. But as you wrote in the Huffington Post, you talked about the outright inhumane response of Europe when it comes to this. Are we just seeing just how badly run the EU is, and how not only inhumane, but how foolish they really are?
I think Europe has become a little too complacent. I don't think they have early on figured out a mechanism to deal with this. But let me tell you something that is very important to me.
20 seconds.
Hungary. Okay, 20 seconds. Hungarians have been flooding to the West in the last 10 years. 500,000 Hungarians have moved to the West. And don't forget that in 1956, after the Russian invasion, many 100,000 Hungarians were received in the United States, in Western Europe, and elsewhere with open arms. And this is something Hungarians should remember.
And we need to stop it here, but I got to tell you, András, we're going to have you back again because this needs a tremendous amount more investigation. András Simonyi, I want to thank you very much for joining us and giving us some insight. Coming up next, the NFL season begins just as another investigation drags up more of the same when the Hardline continues.